IWN North India, and I'm in a really good space because I think women here are far more emancipated than us in the North, and I want to take back a lot of methodologies of how women are dealing with life and how they're being able to optimize better than us. You asked for a Mercedes.
Yes.
And where I come from, I don't think we would ever ask. I am sure a lot of us as women have challenges in asking, even though at the back of our minds we believe we deserve to have.
Yeah.
But we have this huge inhibition of, I don't know whether it is we feel we are going to be said no to, or I don't know what it is. I mean, so that's my question firstly. How did you ask? How did you break out of that straitjacket to feel you are good enough to ask? So that's one question that I have. Secondly, you scaled up to a 10,000 crore. Wow. I think that's really a wow. During the course of that journey,
Thank you.
During the course of that journey, I am sure you would have had to deal with not brick but steel walls that come not because men want to create those walls, but because it is attitudinally so. We feel as working women, we will turn back.
Yeah.
Because when you ask for bigger, larger, and your visions are bigger, larger, and it doesn't agree with the men folk, you really have to fight. So how did you deal with both these things? Thank you.
I think I'll just give a little brief about myself and how I got to get married to Kiran Garu and how it all started and how I finally had the guts to ask for my car. See, my father is a businessman. He has a hatchery in Chittur. He's a veterinary doctor. And I believe, I agree with Sanjay and Mohan Reddy Garu, the parents make a lot of impact on children. I've always seen my parents work very, very hard, very industrious, and also trying to help people all the time. I've always seen people coming and taking something or the other from my father, asking for favors, and he would always go out of his way to do it. So I think this is what is the right culture that you need to develop in the children, to be able to help as much possible and to be bold. So I studied in a convent, Little Flower Convent, I think most towns have it, till the 5th class. And then my father decided that this is not good enough, my children have to go to better school. So even though it's difficult for parents to send out their children into hostels, but keeping the welfare of the kids, most parents do. That's what Krishna and Suchitra also did when they came into the country to develop. They had to be so busy that they put their children in hostels. It does a lot of good because, you start thinking on your own and, you go through the hard times in the hostel, adjusting with people, living without parents, but then you get tough in this course. So I studied at Kalakshetra and then SIT in Chennai. And I wanted to be a doctor, but Kiran always keeps saying, thank God she didn't become one, otherwise I would have missed out. Isn't it, Kiran? Your mic is there.
Yeah, medicine's loss is my gain. That's what I keep telling her always. Well, the country can always do with one less doc, but probably my life wouldn't have been the same. So then, since I missed out on medicine seat with 2% because of forward caste and also being a non-local both in Andhra and Tamil Nadu, which I didn't know, otherwise I would have continued studies at one place for 4 years. That was the requirement. So when I missed out on medicine, I had really slogged enough. I taught my college in the intermediate. So I thought, let me take it easy now. I did my literature, and then, we were 2 daughters for my father, no sons. So it was always there in my mind that I have to run my father's business. So right from 10th class, holidays onwards, I used to go and sit in the office, be a little bossy also at that time. Didn't know what I was doing properly. But, I could do things rightly in the sense of the work. So I guess that's why I was a little bit bossy. But, so it built confidence in me. And my dad's office and home was together. So, it was seeing men, working with men was not intimidating for me.
because we always passed through the office into the house. We saw the men around. For a lot of women, that gets very intimidating. So when I went to PSG college, Kiran had postgraduated from there, master's, but clearly we didn't see each other in college. He's 2 years my senior. And after I finished, I was in my first year college, and my mother-in-law called one of the lecturers there and said, could you recommend anybody? And my name was given. And when ma'am told me, I was like, why me? You know, there are so many women in Hyderabad. I just been to Hyderabad once before then. Always Chennai and Bangalore are the closest towns to us. She said, I think you're good, and you'll fit Kiran. I know Kiran, and she was very fond of Kiran, more fonder of Kiran than me. And so then there was a lull. They asked in the first semester, then there was a lull. So I also forget about it, and then I finished my MBA. I came back home and started working. Proposals started coming. And then, then again this proposal comes, and we're like, what is this? They asked us, a couple of years back, and they've come back again. So should we go forward or not? Are they, they're big, they're Inadu. By then itself, Inadu was a big name. So then my father wasn't too, and then they came back again, and they said, no, Kiran wanted to finish some assignment that he had taken up, so he didn't want to get married. And then we met up. It was easy to talk because we both came from the same college, so much to talk easily. And then, we always debate on this. He always says, I asked you that you have to be a working woman. I always say, no, I told you that I want to be a working woman. So we keep debating about it. Probably we've forgotten, we don't know who is right, but still, anyway, it matched our requirements. I was very clear that I have to be a working woman because I grew up thinking that I have to have a career of my own. And as Pinky said, being a homemaker is a very, very tough job because being a businesswoman, I'm not saying it's easy. At least you have your agenda, you have your program, and you're working, and you're trying to take everybody along with you. But, making your kids do what you want them to do is not so easy. And also, taking care of elders at home, it's definitely a big task, being so patient and being so caring, loving, and giving up all of yourself for them is definitely a big task. And I always appreciate homemakers for that. So since I had said that I want to be a working woman, and after marriage, my father-in-law also knew about it, and he is a very, very broad thinking person, very, very, and very different from the regular people that you meet up with. His value systems are at the helm. So it's sometimes, very, and we never done anything to break the rules and regulations of the law. So it's really very difficult to be 100% law-abiding and still be successful. It's a big task on its own. And then, by then Kiran was into media, and we have the Dolphin Hotels and Vizag, and the Usha Kiran movies were there, movies being taken. So, they thought that Margadarsi Chit Fund would be the best for me, and it was to do with finance and accounts. And let me admit that I'm not very great at my math. So I was like a bit jittery, but then at the same time, I was like, if I don't take it up, then I won't get a chance to work. I always make it a point to share this thing because sometimes you may not get to do what you want to do in life, but whatever comes across, please accept it and please work hard, and then you can definitely be successful. So for 6 months I was at home, and it started getting really boring. And then my father-in-law, the only thing that he told me is, Sailaja, like, you're going into an organization which is already 25 years old, and there are very senior colleagues who are already 50, 55 years old, and you're a youngster. It will be very difficult for them to change anything. They will not change. So you will have to accept them as they are and start working with them. I think that was the greatest piece of advice that I could have got, because that was always there at the back of my mind. I told you I was a little bit bossy in my office back home, because I saw all of them right from the time I was 10 years old, uncle, and So it really helped me, you know. So they were all 55, 60 years old and really good at math also, I have to say that. And, you know, for 1.5 years, it was like just quietly observing everything, laying my hands on every file possible, trying to know everything that the company went through all the 25 years. So that gave me an edge because I knew what the company is all about, what they did, how they did. And then I knew that I was given a fantastic company, you know, with great financial integrity, and it was already a household name in Andhra Pradesh, and there was tremendous goodwill and trust that this company enjoyed. Only thing is, it wasn't leveraged to more and more people. So I thought that, you know, this company can give value to so many lives. You know, we can do so much to them and to better their lives and to make things happen in their lives. So that is what inspired me to move out of Hyderabad to several districts. So from about 11 branches, we built it to 105 branches today. And that's how, everywhere we went, they said, "You're late, you should have come much earlier." That was the feedback, tremendous response from people, acceptance. But yes, so my father-in-law used to be walking at 4 a.m. in the morning in the terrace, and he would see me sitting in the car going out, you know. So he knew that I really worked hard, you know, he had seen me do that, which is why I knew that he saw me working, and that's why probably I had the guts to ask him for my car, you know. And
it's just that she stole the thunder, I think, by a few months. You know, my targets were going a little slow. So by the time I got my mug, it was about 1 year down the lane. Yeah. My targets were tougher to achieve. And I'm proud of her for that, because she's the,
I couldn't have had a better husband than Kiran, you know, because he never asked me why I was coming at 9 p.m. in the night, why I was getting delayed, why I was leaving at 6 a.m. in the morning. There were times I would just go to Chennai or to somewhere else. He wouldn't even know that I've left the house in the morning, because he had his hectic schedules and I did mine. Sometimes we wouldn't be able to talk in the nights to even share where I was going. And there were times when people asked him where she was, and he would say, like, you know, probably she's in Hyderabad.
Like my own father, I sometimes had you know, very funny situation. He would ask me, "Is Sailaja around? I want to talk to her." "I don't know, Dad. I think she's probably traveling." So imagine in a family living in the same house. So that's how committed she was to work.
So that's to answer you how I could. And the second part of your question, I don't know.
The second question was that you've scaled up, and you've scaled up like wow.
Yeah.
So during the course of this, because I'm sure not necessarily from family, but you would have had a lot of men folk,
Yes.
who would have to deal with you in a very contrary way, because you must be coming in with a lot of iconic, you know, out of the box ideas. And so how did you kind of push through that? I mean, how did you get them on the bandwagon rather than getting pushed back?
See, the difference is that you see the business that can happen. You see the opportunity. Not that every man can see it, I'm sorry to say it, but you know, it is your ambition, your aggressiveness, your desire to do something big, you know, to achieve something in life. You know, that makes the difference. That is what makes you see something else that everybody can't see. So when my first daughter was born, you know, in '93, I took off for a year to take care of her. And people already started talking in the office that, okay, that's it, she's done, she's gone, she's not going to come back, because it was a long break of 1 year. So after 1 year, I came back, she was a little grown up. So you do have to make your compromises with family front, and especially the first child, you know, because that is the actual growth phase. So when I used to make calls to her, sometimes she used to cry over the phone, and then you know, she was okay till then, and I made her cry with my phone call. So I stopped calling, probably not to make her cry. But then, all these things happen in everybody's life if you're focused on work. I feel that many women stop there at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. They just want to get back home because family is first for them. And many families, they're so dependent on the woman to take care of the family that they can't let go of her for better things to do. So if, probably if support is given, like how Kiran supported me, how my father-in-law supported me, how my entire family, my kids, everybody supported me, it is possible for many more women to really do the best and be many more options for companies like Scient,
Thank you, Ms. Sailaja Kiron and Mr. C.H. Kiron. I now request Ms. Suchitra Ella to kindly present the mementos.
I have one more question. I'm so sorry for interrupting.
Sure, please.
This is again to Shailaja ma'am. So how good are we as women in our financial planning? So this, your part is more about chit funds, financing and all, right? So what percentage of your customers are women? And because we are youngsters who stepped into our career, so when I speak to my peers more about the moment you get salary, what's your plan, what's your financial plan, what's your net worth, certain questions, few people say a lot of independent plans, a lot of amazing plans, but few people are telling the moment I get the salary, I'll just give it to my husband, he'll take care of things. So he will design how to plan, where to invest and all. So what's your inputs and what's your suggestions on that?
The first question was how many women are into chit funds, you said, right? If you actually look at unorganized sector, chit funds in a big way is in the unorganized sector. So if you look at that, lots and lots of women. I mean, I've seen my mom being in a chit fund, my aunts being in chit funds. Actually, the percentage of failures actually are very less, if you see. If you're seeing how banks are also not doing very well, so that percentage always happens, like in any businesses. Every business, there is probably 30-40% failure. So is the case in chit funds also, probably lesser in fact. So in an organized chit fund, it is definitely more secure for you because we have a deposit that we keep, equivalent to the turnover that we do. We keep deposits with the registrar of chit funds, and we are highly regulated. So there are monthly returns to be filed for every single chit group that we conduct. We have about 7,500 chit groups servicing about 4 lakh people, and disbursing about 700 crores a month. And every month we have to file returns, who's the successful bidder and who's been paid and what are the outstandings, all of this. So definitely chit funds are a good option because I generally don't promote, the company or anything. But what I believe is, it's very important for every person to have a lifelong financial partner, somebody, some institution, which can be your lifelong financial partner. That is very important because life is full of necessities, emergencies, and definitely chits can take care of your necessities and take care of emergencies because this is one option where you invest less and get a very big amount when you really need it. So we do have a lot of women also, but the percentage is less because there are less women working. We've all seen the statistics just now Margadarsi showed you. But there are a lot of women who are partners with husbands, so the chits are taken in their name. So as long as all the parameters are met, whether it's a man or a woman, it doesn't matter for us. Because we are disbursing public funds, we abide by certain norms. And I mean, it all depends on your relationship. Well, we have very good relationship, but my account remains mine's and Kiran's account remains Kiran's. So I can't say, no, don't give it to your husband.
She has more money in her account than my account.
No. So, well.
If I have to go for a big loan, I know where to go to, interest-free loan.
No. It's Kiran who's always spending on me, never me.
okay? So that's why I have more funds in my account. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Sailaja Kiron and Ms.
So much.
As usual, she stole the thunder, and I think took over all the questions. So I think obviously either I was a bad communicator or probably didn't evoke enough interest to get more questions. But anyway, either way, I'm happy.
No, I did say it in one line that I can't ask for a better man than Kiran to be, to be my life partner.